Good evening. This is the October 21st, 2025 meeting of the Wenham Select Board. It is 6:01 p.m. and present at the opening of the meeting are Peter Clay, Gary Cheeseman, and Karen Anger, and Ben Timon as Select Board members. We have as the first agenda item, as is usually the case, public comment. If there's any member of the public who is here and wishes to speak on a matter that is not otherwise listed on the agenda, this is an opportunity to do so for up to 2 minutes per person. I don't believe there's anybody in the live audience who wishes to do so. Is there anybody online who wishes to give public input?
See anyone, Michelle? See anyone online?
All right, thank you. That brings us, Steve, I think, to the town administrator's update.
Yep. A couple of brief updates today. First is last week we moved from the second floor down to the first floor, which I believe was successful. Hopefully it didn't interrupt any of the deliveries of any services provided out of town hall, but went relatively seamlessly. We're all set up. So we're either going to love or hate each other at the end of the 6 weeks, because we got, 9, 10 people sitting in the select board rooms and desks everywhere. But it's all good. I think we're having fun down there. But anyways, so just a reminder that all the offices that you would normally go to the second floor for are now on the first floor in the select board's room, and there is signage as you walk through the door to direct you. And secondly, the next month, the month of November, is Indigenous Peoples Month. So the Wenham Human Rights Committee has put together a self-guided tour around the town for some important landmarks as it relates to Indigenous people. So on social media going up this week, we'll be posting some historical impact information and facts about the various locations in town, along with a map where you can go visit these locations, and there will be little barcode scans you can do with your phone, QR codes that will provide you with audio and text information about the location. So look out for that on social media. We'll also be putting something on the light board.
Steve, before we continue, just for the record, Select Board member Deirdre Parati is present.
Thank you. And that is all I have for updates this evening.
I do not have any updates this evening, so we turn to Peter if you have any.
I think we had a really great opening of the West Wenham Park on Saturday that was really well attended. And just kudos to Kate Mallory for doing such a great job with that park.
Gary?
I'll second those comments. It was a beautiful day and good attendance. I think probably close to 200 folks turned out.
I think it was kind of interesting that we also found out that Deirdre, who lives in West Wenham, had no idea there was actually a park there.
That is true.
Deirdre?
I'll just echo those comments. That was a fabulous turnout, glorious day, and really a wonderful thing for the town of Wenham.
Karen?
I just want to say thank you for everyone who participated in supporting the Bucher Fun Run. They raised over their goal of $35,000 to help with educational services. So I want to say thank you. We had a good number of folks come out from the COA that cheered the kids on. So it was quite an eventful morning, perfect weather. A little cold, but they did a really good job.
Great. All right. Thanks, everybody. That moves us on to not our cable hearing, correct? We're going to wait on that?
We can wait on that till 6:10. Probably could have time for the consent agenda.
Doesn't look like there's anything on it from what I can tell.
One appointment.
The appointment.
Oh, okay. I'm looking at the agenda that was part of the meeting packet. Okay. I got it. Thank you. All right, so we have one item on the consent agenda. It's an appointment to the Hamilton Wenham Cultural Council. Jean Boudreau, does anybody wish to make a motion?
Sure. Move to appoint Jean Boudreau to the Hamilton Wenham Cultural Council for a term effective October 21, 2025 through June 30, 2028.
Second.
Let's do a roll call. Peter?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
Deirdre?
Yes.
Karen?
Yes.
And Ben is yes. That's unanimous. Thank you. Okay. Well, Steve, I don't see any other items on the agenda that are ready to discuss, do you?
Nope, that is it. Next item will be in 4 minutes. The board can call the public hearing for
Right.
the Comcast licensing agreement.
All right. We'll have a 4-minute adjournment, I guess.
Recess.
Recess, yes. I'm going to kill the audio. Thank you.
All set. Thank you.
All right, it is 6:10, and we are going to conduct the public hearing regarding the renewal of cable television license of Comcast Cable Communication Management LLC with a, I guess maybe not a vote, but,
It may or may not
Okay.
accept the terms.
all right. And we have someone here to present on that.
He is running a few minutes late, but in the meantime, I'll give a quick overview, and then we have Bill Melville from HWCAM who will add a little bit more color to the services that these funds provide. So what this is, what this agreement is in a nutshell is cable companies, which is now Xfinity, has to pay the town a licensing fee to utilize the poles in the public ways within the community. So we take this money and pay for basically HWCAM, so all the audiovisual capital and the services they provide along with salaries and everything. These fees are what covers that and brings the service to the community. And basically it's two revenue sources in one of which is, this is new this year, we moved from a flat fee to a per subscriber structure. So we get roughly $1.25 per subscriber in the town of Wenham, and which accounts to being about $2,000 a year. $7,500 per year. And when we also get 5% of Xfinity's gross revenue just from the town of Wenham. And then we use those fees to provide the services. And Bill, if you want to hop over here and just add a little bit more detail, the things you're able to do for the
I'll
community.
sit down here in front of the camera instead of behind it. So as Steve was saying, the funding source comes from Comcast and Verizon. So it's right away. They pay, they create a license with the town to utilize the poles, negotiate what's that worth, and usually it's a certain amount of capital and it's a certain percentage of GAR. So we've been lucky because we have two companies, we have Verizon and Comcast, and they both have to basically have equal playing field. So if Verizon does 5% of the GAR, Comcast has to do 5%. So that's what's great about this, is that basically we get the highest legal percentage of the GAR. That's awesome, but as you know, everyone's cutting the cord. So I know basically HWCAM's budget, we lose about 7% of subscribers each year. Well, you have to think long-term. So when I was thinking about this license, I've done quite a few of these. It's probably my fifth license. Comcast does a 10-year, Verizon does a 5-year. And I was thinking about, like, HWCAM has been the sort of designated public access provider for both towns for 20 years now, which is crazy. And it's been a really interesting sort of ride, and all the things that have changed from having things now on your phone. From when I started here 20-something years ago, I'd have to plug in a piece of equipment in the corner over there, and that's how we became live. So some of the things that we spend the money on, basically technology. And what I've always tried to do over the 20 years is think about what's going to happen down the road, right? So when the town hall is renovated, when something happens, I'm not going to put a piece of equipment in there that's already dated, right? So whenever the town hall in Wenham gets renovated again, or there's a time for the equipment upgrade, we're going to go with something that's a higher end broadcast quality, so it doesn't lose its sort of value in short term. So what I'm talking about is when we did the town hall of Wenham, we were one of the first cable stations to do HD. We weren't broadcasting in HD. We're still not broadcasting HD, but we are via YouTube and we are via the app. So it's that kind of thinking, right? So the other thing is, I noticed over the last year or two, there's a big push with the federal government for ADA compliance. And what do I mean by that is captioning. That's the big push. So every year I go to a conference in Las Vegas, and they were talking about captioning. And basically, also, besides captioning, you have to start thinking about descriptive audio for people, right? And the last couple of years in the Wenham town meeting, it was pretty successful with the closed captioning, and that's something that's going to be a big investment in the next couple of years, right? I piloted a box last month that does in-room captioning. So that's going to be coming to the Wenham Town Hall, like probably next year, where you have a TV in the back of the room, and you'll see this meeting live, but you'll see the live captions there. So it's those kinds of things that we try to think about investing in, and not, again, trying to think 20 years down the road. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm getting a little confused right now, but
No, it's
nervous. I'm just nervous, yeah.
No, that's
Great, very
well put. Excellent. All right, welcome.
Thank
How are
you.
you?
I
We have
appreciate
our
that.
council.
Got through some traffic. I appreciate it.
No problem. Welcome
And
to the
I didn't know the hardest part was going to be find the entrance, so thank you for
Right, yeah.
having a flag person out there.
Keep people guessing.
William Solomon.
Thank
Hello,
you.
Attorney Solomon. How are you?
Great. Thank you very much. Good to be here. All right, so we provided the license and a summary. I think it's a really excellent license. It's a very challenging time, as you know, for cable TV. The revenues that come to the town and therefore flow to the Access Corp, the Hamilton Wenham Community Television, only comes from cable, doesn't come from internet or telephone. And so we continue at a 5% of gross revenues for the PEG, Public Education and Government Community Television operating support. And the capital support is now negotiated. I'd like to thank your town administrator, your assistant town administrator, instrumental in getting an excellent number, which is $1.25 per subscriber per month, which is materially more than the current license. There's no question subscribers will go down, but in that $1.25 is built in some protection, given the number going forward. So we think it's a good capital number. It took a lot of negotiation. The license itself, I think it's the best in the state. It protects the town with respect to your public way, your financial interest, insurance, on the dollars again, on the PEG support, the definition of gross revenue, which is the most important definition in the license. It continues to be broad without any exclusions that shouldn't be excluded. So it includes advertising revenue for the company, home shopping, the franchise fee itself, and the 5% is applied to that. So there's clearly a challenge going forward for any public access program. You have the advantage that you do it together with Hamilton, but still it's a relatively small program. And in the future, I think that'll have to be addressed by each town if the law doesn't change. But for now, this is a really strong license, and I'm very pleased with the financial support and pleased with the legal terms. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Just, so this is the board has been provided with the summary. So if you want to, some of them you already talked about. If you want
Sure.
to run through it.
Yeah, no problem. Well, as described, the subscriber number for Comcast is 491 subscribers at the end of 2024. And that's down from 520 the year before and 562 the year before. Verizon, by the way, had 397 subscribers at the end of 2024. So 491 for Comcast. The PEG support, as mentioned, 5% of gross revenues that goes to the town and the Access Corp. That's the maximum allowed under the Cable Act, is 5%, continues to be 5%. The PEG support, as mentioned, was $1.25 per subscriber, based on the highest number of subscribers for any quarter, and that number has to be provided quarterly, the subscriber number to the town, so we can confirm what the payment is correct. The PEG channels continue to have 3, but within 24 months, there will be a high-definition PEG access channel, the transition one of the SD channels into an HD channel. And that can result in 2 HD channels because Hamilton has the right to one and Wenham has the right to one. So that's a big plus and something that access corporations have been looking forward to for 15, 20 years. All of their equipment is HD, as you probably know. The cable casting continues to be, bringing the signal to the studio. And I think it just really, you have your own, which was built by the Access Corporation that connects the buildings in Wenham and Hamilton to the joint studio in Hamilton. And that's a plus not only because you can control and maintain it, it's fiber, but it's also a plus because in theory, under a 2019 ruling by the FCC, that in theory Comcast, any cable company, could take their operating and maintenance cost for video return from a remote building, the town hall, the school, to the studio, and that would go toward the 5%, thereby reducing that 5% payment, because you operate your own fiber system through Hamilton Wenham Community Access, that there's no risk that that will be deducted from the 5%, and that's a plus. Cable service to public buildings, it continues to be that the entire town has cable available to it per the license, and that's extremely valuable. There's a lot of communities where there's a density requirement. If there's new building, there have to be a certain number of homes per aerial mile or per underground mile. In this license, continuing the fact that all cable service has to be available to all residences. And installation, if it's 150 feet aerial drop, it's a standard installation, a one set price. And if it's 100 feet for an underground drop, it's a standard installation. Anything beyond that is charged only for the distance beyond those distances. Now, in a place like Wenham, if there are new homes, they're likely to be further off the road. And frankly, most cable companies do not measure and charge based on that, as long as it's a reasonable distance. They're looking for the customer. And that's even more so in Wenham, because you have the advantage of also having a second cable company, being Verizon. So that if one cable company says they want to charge a certain amount to go a further distance from the street to the home, you can ask the other cable company. So as a result of that, those numbers, which remain the same, are workable, and were not something we were looking to change in the negotiation. Finally, there's 2 side letters. Let me say cable service to public buildings. Comcast provides cable service to schools and public buildings per state law. But again, the FCC determination in 2019 would allow a cable company to take the marginal cost of providing that, their marginal cost, and put it toward the 5%. With great credit to Comcast, Comcast doesn't do that, and Verizon doesn't do that. And why, after coming to a town 40 years ago, 45 years ago, and asking to be in the public way, and saying, look, an advantage will be we can provide you cable service for public buildings. Why 45 years later would they want to start saying, well, this is costing us, so we want to take it from you? That really wouldn't be something that would be a good corporate citizen. And Comcast, to its credit, is an excellent corporate citizen in the Commonwealth. Then finally, there's 2 side letters. One, which is good to have, it's a senior discount. Doesn't break the bank. I say, you can get a better one in Caldor, or Bradley's, I say, or Zaire. But it's $2 off the standard standard amount. Now, it hasn't gone up. It's not a lot, but to be fair, it's voluntary. The law makes it clear that there's no obligation to provide a senior discount. The competitor doesn't provide a senior discount. So what we were able to do, however, is we were able to expand the financial qualification standards to include two standards, one of which is a abatement under the state program for housing, and another one is the food allowance that one can get with certain incomes from the federal government. And so that will allow more people to qualify for that senior discount. But again, it is what it is. It's not something you can say it has to be higher. You can ask. We asked, and and it's the same throughout the Commonwealth. And then the second letter, I think, is very important. It's the PEG letter, Public Education Government letter, that applies to the electronic program guide and an additional HD PEG access channels. And what that letter says is that within a 6-year period, when the town wants, they can ask Comcast to come in and discuss the financial and technical feasibility of that, and also doing those services in Wenham. Now, why does that matter? Well, because to the extent Comcast decides that it's going to provide additional high-definition channels or the electronic program guide, which is for the PEG programming, so you can record it and know what's on. If they do that elsewhere, then there's great reason to invite them to your board and say, or ask first to your administration, well, let's do that for Wenham. And without that side letter, typically what a cable company will say is that, well, we really like to do these things during license renewal, and that's in 2035. So the side letter represents that they understand that if there are changed circumstances during that period of time, that you can require them to come in and speak about that. And that's going to make a difference immediately, because it appears that it may be that Comcast, in its regular course of business, is going to be providing more than one high-definition PEG access channel. Now, again, in Hamilton Wenham, because each town has an HD channel, you'll have two HD channels, and there'll only be one channel that's not high definition. So for you, that would mean only one additional HD channel. But if that happens going forward, and it may well happen based on one license that's been renewed recently, then we would want to speak to Comcast and potentially invite them and say to them, let's do the same thing here. Since once they start to do a change in approach, that they don't do a one-off, they'll offer it to everyone. So with that said, again, I'd be happy to answer any questions. Thank you for reminding me to be more detailed in my presentation. And as I said, I think it's an excellent license. The most important change, I think, is the PEG capital change, and the other provisions, including the HD channel and the side letter, I think are strong reasons to support this license.
Great, thank you very much. Do any board members have questions for Attorney Solomon or Mr. Melville?
Not.
I had a quick question for Steve, actually. So what is the cost from a Wenham perspective, that it costs Wenham to run HWCAM on a yearly basis?
Well, they don't, we're a nonprofit, so the town doesn't, basically the town is the license holder, but they designate HWCAM to be its self-operating operation. So it's no town money.
So it's self-operating, but the 7365 that,
Oh, yeah, that capital, that's not much. Our yearly budget, depending on year to year, is usually about 250,000.
okay.
It depends if we do a big upgrade. COVID, we spent a lot of money. The studio, that was a good chunk of change to do that.
I guess
So-
my only question is you're looking for a 10-year license, looking back in the last 10 years, things have drastically changed. So if the percentage of people remove themselves from a streaming platform, and that 125 that is
Yeah.
guaranteed per person or per household or per, I don't know how it's done, but, so you're looking at roughly $613 a month,
For capital, that's.
For capital, so the
There's the
thought-
5% that goes to the operating.
right, so I guess my thought process is, we're probably looking at over the next 10 years, that to be a significant, if not altogether drastically changed number. And how much would that cost us if we're incapable of doing anything for the next 10 years and locking ourselves into an agreement of that sort?
I know what you're saying. I'm going to let Bill answer that. I know I belong to a group of public access stations that are petitioning the state government to include streaming services as part of the GAR, as part of the revenue. Because at some point, we're pretty good because basically you've had one person run HBCAM for 20 years, where you have other stations, you have 3 full-time people, and that's where all their money goes. So we're trying to get the state to change the law where they include streaming services to do that. Because I know what you're saying, it's sort of, if the money ever does dry up, what's going to happen then?
I would just hate this board to lock us in for 10 years and then turn around in 4 or 5 and say, streaming has drastically changed and now it's going to cost the town a specific amount of money per user.
I can answer, and thank you. It's good. Great question, because it's the situation that's faced. Excuse me. The reason I believe a 10-year license is in the town's interest is that the world's not going to get any better. The competitive situation is not going to get any better for cable. The law is not going to get better. It's a 1984 law. That law would not pass today. So there's always a risk that the law could change, and that would provide a situation where it wouldn't be clear that there wouldn't be cable licensing potentially if the Cable Act was eliminated. So because of the competitive situation and because of a good legal status that's been around for a while, it's kind of like a long-term mortgage. There's no better time now to lock in the terms of a license that apply for the next 10 years. And to Comcast's credit, they fight to be a successful cable company. They still care about cable, and as a result of that, they're willing, and they treat towns fairly as corporations go. So as a result of that, they're willing to try to reach an agreement that meets, as the Cable Act says, your community cable needs and interests. And so now is really the best time for the town to lock those benefits in. And just give you a sense, and you've done the math, I redid it here. The last license had capital of $21,660 for the 10 years. That's the capital, $21,660. Now, if Comcast were to keep its current cable subscriber amount number, 491, and it'd probably go down, but the world's no certainty of anything with respect to that, because streaming companies charge more and more, and as a result of that, people might say, well, cable just makes more sense, and cable also allows you in different ways to stream. So if you take the $1.25 over 10 years, that'd be $73,650. So that's the peg capital, assuming the 491 subscribers, $73,650 versus $21,660. So even with a reduction of subscribers each year, there's a relatively good chance that that number will be materially more. So, and the 5% is, is not going to change. So in my judgment, and I've said this for years, but it's more true now than ever, now's the best time to lock in that a good cable license. And going forward, unless the law changes, as Bill says, to allow, for instance, to charge for streamers who use the public way, then and there are two things that can happen. One is an Access Corporation can start viewing itself more as a business, and if those companies want something, if there was no licensing, if they want to have the local programming, they have to pay for it. Or at one point it might be that the town believes it's in the town's interest to subsidize the PEG Access program. Or it may be like happened in many states where they went to statewide licensing, where PEG Access, or at least public access, disappeared. So you're right, there's the changing world is a challenge, but for now, my judgment is that that this isn't a license that meets the current needs, and that it's unlikely that the strategic leverage of the town would get better as time went along for both technical and legal reasons.
I have a question for Bill. Maybe it's sort of, so what would you, because in Hamilton, we're talking about the Verizon license, and they only do 5 years.
Right.
I'd rather have a 10-year license. I don't know, Bill. He's
Yeah.
longer than I have.
The difference between the two companies is Verizon has told Wall Street 7 years ago, it's going to be out of cable. They just want to stream, and they want every end user to be a wireless user. Well, 5G didn't happen as fast as they thought, which would have allowed that video to stream in a better fashion. And, excuse me. And as a result, they went from a 10-year license to 5-year licenses, and then even the 5-year license in the last 6 years gives them a 3-year out. But to their credit, in that 5-year license with a 3-year out, they pay 5 years of capital, and they'll likely start, as you said, the renewal process again. So but they're not a long-time cable company. They got into the business because they knew if they didn't have video, they couldn't compete. But once there was an option of video without cable, they wanted to get to the door and leave. And therefore, they protect themselves in a fair way to the town by getting the shorter license and the potential to get out. Comcast, on the other hand, to its credit, sees itself still as a cable company. It has more revenue from internet now than cable, but it sees itself also as a cable company. It does other things too. And as a result of that, it's in their interest to, as they see it, and I agree, to do a longer license, the longest allowed by law in Massachusetts. It's 10 years. There's less transaction costs, less of their employees working on licenses consistently. So I think that does represent the fact that when you have an opportunity for a 10-year license, it's in the town's interest to do that 10-year license. And I don't see any provision here, happy to answer, hear anything, that I think could change on the upside. I think that again, giving your team so much credit, because it was a team effort on PEG Capital, town administrator, assistant town administrator, and Bill, that we were able to get a number that was at least materially more on capital than the past licenses.
Very good. Thank you very much. Are there any other comments or questions from members of the board?
Ready for a motion?
I just want to, just for transparency's sake, Gary asked if there's any members of the public who wish to be heard on the renewal of the Comcast license. I don't see people jumping up to talk about that. Is there anybody virtually raising their hand? Thank you. Okay, so yes, I would entertain a motion.
Move to approve the cable television renewal license of Comcast Cable Communications Management, LLC, effective November 1st, 2025 through October 31st, 2035.
Peter Clay seconds.
All right, thank you. We'll do a roll call. Peter?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
Deirdre?
Yes.
Karen?
Yes.
And Ben is yes, it's unanimous.
And Mr. Chairman, I should put this in writing, but if you, one other vote, just for the record, so people in the future know, if you could just take a vote recognizing the two side letters, so that there's, in the minutes, people can look back and say, well, there were those two side letters. Side letter on the senior discount and the PEG side letter.
As amended.
PEG stands for what?
Public Education Government.
Okay, thank you. Excuse me, so I'll make a motion that the Wenham Select Board also approve as written the two side letters, one senior citizen discount letter from Comcast, two placement of Wenham PEG channels on third-party PEG interactive program guide. Is there a second?
Second.
Deirdre Clay, Deirdre, got it.
Great. Roll call. Karen?
Yes.
Deirdre?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
And Ben is yes, that's unanimous. Thank you for having us do that.
Thank you for waiting for me.
Yeah, no,
For
appreciate you
I
coming
appreciate
in.
it.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right, so now we'll
Right.
take a quick 3-minute break.
Yes, do we need to make some kind of a public announcement regarding
Just that
the,
we're going to be shutting down the Zoom. And that, Bill, where will folks stream this if they want to stream?
It's still going to be streamed. It's streamed on the app now and on YouTube. Both are working right now.
Okay.
okay, so the HW Cam app and YouTube will be streaming the rest of the meeting, but Zoom will not be available for the duration of the meeting. And we'll take a brief recess as we set up for the joint meeting with the school committee.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you, Bill.
Staying in our seat.